Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered cash build that uses cards or his bone totems, and you can see there, it's actually insane against Subjugator and Fully Invincible because of the large amount of health that all the enemies in this arena have. This means that we can stack Groundbreaker to do some pretty silly stuff here, and I anticipate this will also be very strong against the new takedown coming because it seems like those enemies are going to have a ton of health here. You see it there, able to one-shot Subjugator and Fully Invincible, and the same thing here. Basically what we're trying to do is get our cards out. The red card here is a one-shot card, so you just run up to any mob because they have 6 million health, and then you throw that card, which is counted as a melee attack, and it triggers Groundbreaker, so it stores all that damage and does insane stuff. And the same process here against Fully Invincible. What we're trying to do is basically just keep spamming our reloads so that we enter Windfall. I'm also using the Prestidigitator class mod. This allows us to throw cards even if we're using the bone totems, although it is a little bit more unpredictable in its effects. But basically for the bossing, we want to use the cards here because that red card, one shot plus the cold card, it just triggers a lot of damage. So yeah, you're just going to zoom around the arena, tossing out the cards. Whenever you have that cold card in your hand, just keep tossing the other one. You can see there, chunked away his health pretty quickly. And then the same deal, tossing a grenade so we can trigger the alchemy, and then that red card into the ice card for the platinum. Now we don't have to just rely on our cards. Here I'm using the bone totems, and I'm also using the crow source, which is a great way to stack the Prestidigitator, as it can hit critical hits really easily here and just shreds through health. And you're going to see here, I'm actually able to spawn a ton of cards here against Subjugator, going into Windfall here, triggering it, tossing out many cards here, while we're also blasting away with the Crow Source. It is very powerful, as you can see there. And with this Prestidigitator class mod, we're actually able to toss those cards out when we're using the green. So the nice thing too is you can use this for general mobbing, and I actually much prefer this for mobbing. The blue action skill will swap to for bossing, and then use the cooler plus the bet on red. And things like the Crow Source heavily complement this build as well. I'll be breaking out everything here, starting from level 1 and explaining all the reasons that we'll be taking these things. One of the most important skills, always take this on every cash build. Alchemy, whenever we apply a elemental effect, we get a stack of fortune. This is the easiest thing to stack because we got grenades like the waterfall with a lingering and alchemic payload, which gives them insane amounts of statuses. You get 20 stacks quickly. There's actually some interesting changes to this skill tree we'll be going with. Now, fast hands is important, reload speed is important for us to be able to use the Crow Source, as well as we're reloading the Hot Slugger often to try and get into our Windfall, as this is triggered every time that we reload. This also activates when we use our action skills, so using the green skill tree, you can actually get these to activate very quickly. But after this, Sounds of Rain. Chance to critically hit with guns, action skills, and ordnance. The more fortune stacks we have, the greater the chance. You can put another point of fast hands here, but I like to go 5 points here. We're going to grab Devil's Tines. We really need that extra augment slot. Now, late scratch is important too, since we're using the Hot Slugger. Whenever we try to enter Windfall and fail, we gain a stack of fortune. So tossing out our bone dice or reloading our gun gives us those fortune stacks. The final 3 points we're going to throw into Trick Taker to increase our elemental damage. After this, the middle skill tree here is just so powerful because anti-up's crazy. But what we're going to do is grab Around the Corner, increasing our action skill cooldown rate for every stack of fortune. Now, you can grab House Edge. I actually don't like to take it on this build, and I'll show you why. This will, if we go into Windfall, it keeps us with half our fortune stacks. Why we don't want that is because we're going to get our fortune stacks to actually give ourselves action skill cooldown. So Dealer's Bluff lets us go back into our action skill pretty much at any time, and we're limiting our ability to do that by taking House Edge. So we're then going to put 5 points into Ace in the Hole. Taking Cash Game doesn't really make sense, so we're going to go with both of these here, and then for our final points here, we're going to grab Anti-Up, max this out. Now, this is a little bit misleading. So it's a fortune skill. Cash gains increase gun damage and skill damage the more full his gun mag, and the more fortune stacks he has, the greater the bonus. When we pair this with No Limit here, this gives us increased fortune stacks. It gives us a crazy amount of gun damage and a crazy amount of skill damage, plus 657%. So that is why we want to grab both of these. This depends on the gun's magazine size. So the Hot Slugger with its 1 ammo and its quick reload is impactful because we're getting crazy boosts off of both of these. We can further increase this by taking Payout here, further increasing our fortune skill bonuses by 40%. So then you can see, I guess I didn't take the other skills, but this will scale up them even further. So yeah, we're then going to come into this left-hand skill tree, High Roller, Jody High Roller. So this gives us increased gun damage. The more action skill cooldown we have, the greater the bonus. Now we can also grab Take the Pot because this gives us some health, and it'll also give us shields and overshield the more fortune we have. This is great, especially for the mobbing variant of this when we grab the green skill tree, because that is going to be activated often, giving you a ton of health. So going with 4 and 1 here works well. Stack the deck is nice here too, but grabbing Vigorous whenever we deal damage with an action skill or gun steal bonus elemental damage of that type, the more fortune stack cash has, the greater the bonus. This just lets us use the crow source and things like that for mobbing. Vigorous is really nice, although increased reload speed can work, but it's only on higher magazines, so it's not really as impactful as Stack the Deck or Vigorous. And then we're going to put a single point into Dealer's Bluff. So whenever we gain a stack of fortune, we get 7% of our action skill cooldown restored. You can put more points into this, but we're getting things tight here because we also want to have the green skill tree so that we get some augments. Now, couple options here. Luck Be a Robot will give us more action skill cooldown rate, which is going to then also give ourselves a bit more damage with High Roller, but in my experience, it's better to go Charm Bracelet for the increased skill damage. This also will increase per bone totem that we have out, which does get pretty crazy. We also want to grab as many points you can put as the level cap increases in September. Hopefully this will be crazy, but bonus incendiary damage with guns and action skills. This becomes insane, and that's how we're actually able to get the cards to do crazy amounts of damage when we combine a couple augments. Now, if you're using Cowboy, whenever you enter Windfall, like this is really good early game. You get fortune stacked. Whenever we trigger Windfall, we automatically recharge our action skill. Huge in the early game, but later on, we want to grab Bet on Red. Whenever we go into Windfall, Vampiric Touch cards automatically kill all non-badass enemies and deal increased damage otherwise. So why this is so impactful is that we then grab the cooler here. It doubles all Windfall bonuses, which is amazing. So I guess I should have showed that off here now. This will scale our damage up even further. But what we're looking to do here is with this, we want to throw one of these at an enemy, a non-badass enemy. It'll one-shot them, which stores damage for the cooler to get activated. But you have to have the Specialization Groundbreaker because this will store all of that damage from guns, action skills, and ordnance, and then we can melee attack or slam. Funny enough, normally cards like this count as a melee damage. This says cryo melee damage, but it's a melee attack, so it actually will trigger Groundbreaker. Now, if you're doing just general mobbing, you can switch to Sweeten the Pot, which is going to give our gun a random elemental damage bonus, which is amazing for just general weapons. So you can use a lot of different things on this setup. So Cowboy and Sweeten the Pot, otherwise Bet on Red and the cooler. I can anticipate this will be really good against the next takedown, and will be pretty solid because it's actually using the cards to their full advantages. Now, the mentioned, the Red Moon Rising gives us that bonus incendiary damage. They did update it so that this doesn't actually trigger, like count as real damage. So previously you could get a lot of Groundbreaker, but now you have to take this and then also use something like the Watch for Dinner because it gives extra bonus shock damage as well. And that's where we're getting the crazy damage off from. But as mentioned, we want to use the Prestidigitator class mod here. I have rolls into the red skill tree here, giving ourselves your Huckleberry, which gives increased critical hit damage, as well as Bloodstained Moon. Whenever we critically hit an enemy, we get increased elemental effect chance, damage, and this stacks up to 25 stacks. So you can actually get some pretty crazy amounts of damage off from this class mod, and it's all elemental damage, so it works perfectly with the cards. And then I also have 1 point into the green skill tree so that we're able to get the Tormented, which gives increased critical hit damage. If you're playing with another cache who can jinx them, this pairs together really well. Until we can get the level cap increase, Luckless would be insane on this build and just further increase the potency of this. So hopefully that level cap does come with Loveless. But you can also, if you want something a little bit more powerful, you could actually throw in like the Wind Rider and get Gloam to Glow off of that. It is kind of interesting. The Ludopath though, if you get the Ludopath, this one here in particular with 5 points in anti-up, this is where things get a little bit crazier because you get even further increased skill damage. And there we go, 1290% skill damage, 780% gun damage. So yeah, anti-up does give some pretty crazy damage boosts. This is probably better. And this also does let us switch between the blue and the green skill tree. I just think it's fun to throw the cards out, so that's why I like the Prestidigitator class mod, but either of those will work well on this setup. And the Whale is another consideration, although the Whale does come with the Turn of Fate, which gives you Lifesteal and Windfall, which is really nice. So you could potentially go with something like the Whale with 5 points into that and then increase reload speed. Whenever we gain a stack of fortune, gives 10% of our action skill cooldown. These three are the caches best for this particular setup. I also am rocking a Watch for Dinner with Amp and Siphon here. If you don't have that particular role, that's fine. We're just looking for the bonus shock damage. Actually, full Siphon would probably be a bit better for this setup because we want to have the energy shield up so we get the bonus shock damage because that's where we're getting a lot of our damage from. We're also going to pair this. I'm just using this here for the skillcraft gun damage and gun critical hit chance. This isn't really like super optimal because I'm not using any Torg weapons, but if you have Scoot and Shoot, the Shalashaska here, those work very well in this particular setup as well. Otherwise, the Jacobs here would work great because you can get Jacobs with the increased consecutive critical hit, increased damage, and give yourselves even further critical hits. But I just have this for the rolls that I have on it otherwise. Now, as mentioned, we want to grab a waterfall. Don't go Jason waterfalls. This with the lingering payload gives 4 rotating beams. These are really good because with the alchemic augment, it has a 300% status effect chance. It's crazy because it's just going to spin around and give you 20 stacks of fortune very fast. The expansive also increases the range of it. That is really nice. You can also get the nuke on it. That is pretty good too. This thing is a beast. And our Repkit, increased fire rate is nice. I have active fire on that. But yeah, triple bypass, 3 spam. You can spam it. Kill Spring also works good because the excess damage will get turned into healing orbs. If you're playing with friends, be a homie and use this. It's very good. And also solo play, it's really good too. Now, our Firmware, Skillcraft, this is just really good because it's going to boost up our skill damage, which is very good, and the skill critical hit chance. So this is good for both action skills if you use the blue or the green one. And we also got the active fire here. This gives increased weapon damage and charge rate, which is great for the crow sourced. You can also swap this out if you have another one here that has like the active fire, so you can swap to 3 active fire and use the crow source. That further boosts up its damage. So there's a few different ways you can go around it. This is like Cash's best 2 weapons here, which I'll talk about weapons here now. These 2 would be the absolute best. I did post a build where I was using this class mod with a red skill tree. Convergence is really good in that situation, and a Torg bod with gloom to glow, just insane damage. You can also use things like the complex root. 7th Sense pistol is okay. Wombo combo is also a pretty solid choice. The new Juliet Sparkle is a great one as well. I just think that it's best to go with the Crow Source and the Hot Slugger for 99% of the time. You can even use the Herald. But the damage from these are more so for mobbing. If you're going against Subjugator and Thul, you're basically going to want to hold the Hot Slugger 99% of the time, toss your cards. Otherwise, you could also use the Crow Source. You can get Platinum time with either of these setups. It's pretty versatile. This is because, again, we're using Groundbreaker here, so melee attacks will charge up the damage, and it does some pretty insane stuff. We're also using I'm a Gun to give ourselves our gun damage into skill damage. Now, funny enough, it says action skill damage. It's actually skill damage. And then Honed Mind gives ourselves critical hit chance with our action skills, which is great. And then I also have Riddle You this for the increased gun damage. You could go with Contamination for further increased status effect application chance, which is pretty crazy because we're then applying statuses even faster, but it's not necessary. Riddle You this was just good for the extra damage. And I'll do this live to show you guys how good this is. I kind of messed up. I'm just going to glide here. Every time we reload, we get another stack of our fortune here. Now, what you want to do is basically hold down your fire button and just spam reload. There we go. We went into our skill here. So we got the red card there. Whenever you have a white card, hold on to it because you want to do that with it basically. And again, I'm doing this live right now, so you will get the red card if you have it equipped as your augment. We can throw our grenades here. The grenades are great because they're just going to give ourselves our fortune stacks back. We start tossing out the cards there. We're in our windfall, so this is when we do the red card into him, the cold card into... I missed. Crap. That does happen, especially when you're live talking. So yeah, basically you just want to keep spamming your reload to try and get in and out of your windfall as much as possible. We're tossing our random cards there. We're back into windfall. Throw that, killed him. Throw that, killed him. Perfect. So that was ideal. It was a lot better than my first run there. So yeah, you basically want to get the cards to be able to give you that one shot off of the red card. So again, toss in our grenade so that it can give you your fortune stacks really easily. And then this will give you your action skill back. We went into our action skill here. So we got the cold card in our right hand. No enemies with a lot of health. Crap. And miss, of course. That happened. So we'll try that again here in a second. So we're back into windfall. Great. I don't have my action skill. Toss a grenade. I will get it back right now. And you want to have these enemies have a lot of health to them. So this is not ideal. This is very bad. There we go. There we go. There we go. Perfect. All right. Didn't have to worry about that. You want to find an enemy that has a lot of health to throw that red card because it just does a lot more damage. And again, for general mobbing, switch to Claromancy here. You can even use Claromancy and get the platinum time here. You're just it's a little tighter and you have to use the crow source here and then really have to play hard. Otherwise, you can just use the cards. I anticipate this will be really powerful in the new takedown that's coming out in a few days. I will be posting an updated build whenever that comes, as there may be some changes, so stay tuned. Subscribe if this was useful, and I hope you guys all have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.